Welcome everyone. Today is Saturday, January 23rd from 2021. This is the Hispanic and Immigrants Affairs Board. Our purpose, our mission, the Hispanic and Immigrants Affairs Board advises the City Council on barriers that affect the Hispanic and immigrant community in social, economic, and vocational pursuits. I will now call the meeting to order at 1:04 on January 23rd, 2021. We will move on to roll call. All members, please state your name when your name is called. Call on members. Calling on members now. Pepe Caudillo. Eliezer Posada. Scott Phillips. Ann Mukwa Kyoko.
Present.
Andrea Martinez.
Here.
Fevin Smith.
Here.
Ann Robertson. Rasha Mohammed.
Here.
Virginia Rojas. Michelle Bermeo Betancourt.
Here.
Jordan Crumroy.
Here.
Cynthia Martinez Gonzalez. Abdiel Martinez Ventura.
Here.
Y Dalia Orellano. I do believe we have quorum. Andrea?
Yes.
Okay. So now we'll move to the approval of the Hispanic and Immigrants Affairs Board agenda.
I'm
sorry?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I move we approve the agenda.
I second.
Perfect. We are moving now to the approval of minutes from the previous meeting for December 19th, 2020. I will entertain a motion to approve minutes.
Aren't we supposed to vote? I think you skipped the vote, Elkie.
What vote?
That's correct. So Ann has made the move, the motion, and Michelle has made the second that motion. So we move to vote for the approval.
I'm sorry. We move to vote for the approval to adopt the agenda for today.
All those in favor?
All those in favor say aye.
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 The
Aye.
ayes have it. The ayes have it. Motion approved. We will now move to the approval of minutes from the previous meeting. Has everyone had the opportunity to review last month's minutes? I will entertain a motion to approve minutes.
I move to approve the minutes.
I second.
Okay. It is
Michelle.
moved.
Yeah, Michelle moves and Adiel seconds, correct?
Right.
Yes.
I move to approve. Sorry. We will now vote to adopt the approval of minutes of the previous meeting. All those in favor to approve the minutes from the previous meeting,
Aye.
say aye.
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 The ayes have it. Approval of minutes from previous meeting is adopted. Now we're moving to the presentation from Ben Brown from the Engineering Services regarding floodplain regulation and change. This will consist of 15 minutes, 10 minutes for presentation and 5 for questions. Ben, you may now have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, board members. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. So I'm presenting today about the proposed floodplain regulations that's in front of the Planning Commission and will soon be at the City Council. Real quick, right off the top is just a refresher about the floodplain in Raleigh. It's basically an area around major creeks and streams where the water needs to spread out during higher rain events. Giving the creek area to kind of spread out is key to just reducing flooding downstream and upstream, and also helping out with pollution downstream and that sort of thing. So basically, anytime you put structures or roads or bridges in that floodplain, it can constrict that floodplain and thus make it less effective. The first thing is go over the areas of the creek that do flood. It's broken up into a few different segments. You've got the innermost portion of a creek or stream, which is called the floodway. This is basically in the most sensitive area of a stream, that if there's any development or impediments put here, that can have the worst effect. And actually the federal government prohibits any development in this area for floodplain streams. The area outside that is called the floodway fringe, which is what the local governments like City of Raleigh are in charge of regulating. And the entire area is referred to as the floodplain. So, the regulation changes we're talking about today deal with the floodway fringe area, or the outermost portion. Usually the first thing that most people really want to know is, how do I know if I'm in a floodplain? And Raleigh's got a GIS mapping system that's on our website called iMaps that we share with the county. And it's actually pretty user-friendly to kind of go to and figure out where you are and if you're in a floodplain. Click on this link here, and then you can go to the IMAP screen. If I can get out of the presentation, it will. So once you pull up a piece of property, this is Crabtree Valley Mall, you would search for that in the search window here. And then you can pull up layers on the right-hand side. And if you scroll down to floodplain and click that on, that'll tell you if you're in a floodplain or not. And you can adjust how dark the floodplain is and how easy it is to see and that sort of thing. But you can just use that link that's in the presentation there. So you can look up various properties in your own to see if you're close to a floodplain or anything like that. And the area of the floodway fringe that we're talking about here is this pink area here. The blue area is the floodway that we talked about that the federal government is in charge of regulating. And the pink area is the floodway fringe. And the purple area is the 500-year floodplain, which we do not regulate to. So this came about after Hurricane Florence in October of 2018. The City Council voted to take a look at our existing floodplain regulations and make them stronger because of the increased amount of rain events that we were seeing. our current regulations haven't really changed since 2006. And obviously that first bullet is there's no fill or obstruction allowed in the floodway like we talked about. But in 2006, we adopted that only 50% of the floodway fringe can be filled or obstructed. And so for residential structures, also you have to be 2 feet above the 100-year flood elevation. And that's your finished floor. And that includes all your mechanical activities. Parcels that were half an acre or less recorded prior to May 2nd, 2006 were exempted from this requirement. Now, when the City Council made this request to take a look at the floodplain regs, the Stormwater Management Advisory Commission was tasked with leading that effort. So they formed a stakeholder group to look at all these issues. That group developed a series of recommendations and passed them on to the Stormwater Management Advisory Commission, and they in turn passed it back to the City Council. Now, this stakeholder group held 7 meetings between April and September of 2019, and they had a wide range of representation from different areas that would possibly be affected by these regulation changes. People from the real estate side, the commercial side, the environmental side, legal attorneys, and also other governments and their representatives from like Wake County to kind of see what they do as well. The first thing that the stakeholders and the Stormwater Commission looked at were exemptions to any strengthening of our regulations. They wanted to keep that half acre or less exemption that was in the 2006 regulation. And then also any existing development currently in the floodplain is not affected by this regulation. If you were 5 acres or less were required or recorded prior to May 2nd, 2006, you were exempted, and that exemption would remain in place. And we would also keep the same variance procedures that are there in case of hardship, that you can plead your case to the Board of Adjustment about getting a variance. Now, the commission, the big piece of these recommendations were to restrict new development in that floodway fringe area or that pink area. Basically keep any new buildings or fill from going into that floodway fringe area. Things that would be allowed would be any at-grade uses like farming or pastures or nurseries or gardens or golf courses or tennis courts, anything that can be done without changing the natural ground of that floodway fringe area. You wouldn't be allowed to put any fill, new construction, manufactured homes, or any sort of storage facilities or anything like that. So how many parcels are affected by this? So staff took a look at properties that were entirely taken up by floodway and floodway fringe, and that was about 44 parcels or 198 acres. Properties between 75% and 100% in the floodway and floodway fringe were about 77 parcels and about 528 acres. And then properties that were taken up between 50% of the property and 75% of the property in the floodway fringe were 83 and 335 acres, and properties that just had 50% or less of the area taken up by floodway and floodway fringe were about 242 or 588 acres. All told, it's about 446 properties for about 1,600 acres of property within Raleigh's jurisdiction. Any additional changes that the commission made to the City Council was for any new roads that they would maintain dry access during any 100-year storm flooding event. So that's a change from our current ordinance, which right now allows 1 foot of flood overtopping during that 100-year event. They wanted to make sure that any UDO provisions would allow the transfer of density for properties that were not completely taken up by the floodplain, where they were able to take some of their density for the whole parcel and put it in the area that's not the floodplain. And that is currently allowed with our UDO. And as I said earlier, maintain all current variance procedures for hardship cases. This would also look at asking the city council to provide more funding for a voluntary buyout program for these properties that would now be not able to develop or place new structures in there. And also to incorporate some language into our UDO to allow access to the National Flood Insurance Program's Cost and Compliance Grant Program. And also have a more robust floodplain communication and education effort. So staff did recommend at this time that we structure our UDO to match the state model ordinance to make it more easy. We pretty much had the same ordinance since 1978 as far as the way it's structured. So we're making a change to kind of make it a little more readable and to allow better understanding and also match the local communities that are around us. So council authorized this text change process to begin on September 15th of 2020. So this is kind of a list of the standards and who's affected. Basically boils down to that if you're in a vacant lot greater than half an acre, then you're not allowed to put a fill or structure in the floodplain on your lot. And that's if this text change passes. And that includes any subdivisions or creation of new lots that don't have existing structures on them. What staff been doing since the authorization? We created a dedicated webpage for all the floodplain information. We've sent out direct mailings in November of 2020 to the 446 property owners that are most affected by this. We also sent over 5,000 mailers and emails to every owner that's in the floodplain in Raleigh, even if they weren't affected by this. We held a virtual town hall on December 8th of 2020 to kind of go through the ordinance and get questions from folks. We've been regularly posting to our social media outlets about this, taking comments via web survey since December of 2020, and that closes at the end of this month. The public comment on the actual text change language was open on the planning department's website from December 31st through January 15th. And then we've had various virtual meetings with groups and individuals on an as requested basis. So where we're right now, the Planning Commission has referred this item to their text change committee. They met and talked about this past Tuesday, the 19th, and they got pretty much the same presentation that I just gave you, and they're going over the text change language. And they deferred this item to their next committee meeting, which is February 16th. And that's at 4 p.m. and it's a virtual meeting. And after the Planning Commission decision, then their decision will be sent to City Council as to whether to set an official public hearing on this. So some of the benefits of doing this is to protect people in the environment. I mean, that's really the main goal. Making changes to keep flooding near creeks to keep from getting worse over time. We understand that it's going to rain and it's going to keep raining, but we need to figure out a way to keep people safe. Not putting any new structures will allow more room for the water to spread out and store in the floodplain. And then if you have less development directly near streams, and there's less safety concerns during flooding events about having to get to those people. And then a healthy floodplain means your streams are healthy, your plants and your soils are clean, and it benefits the entire watershed. So here's a few helpful links. The first one is the main floodplain text change page that I mentioned that we created back in November. And that just kind of gives you an update of kind of where we are. It's got all the information kind of in one spot. The second link is the text change engagement portal page, which has the language for the exact text change. And then the Planning Commission page will kind of take you through their schedule and kind of where they are with looking at things like that. My name is Ben Brown, and feel free to ask me any questions. And if you think of any outside this meeting, feel free to email me and we'll discuss that way.
Thank you so much, Ben. Does anyone have any questions? We'll limit to 2 questions. Okay. So I've been able to collaborate with the storm management team, and they're looking to do a lot of outreach. to our community because we have a lot of community members that are within those areas that are flood prone. So just wanted to add that. Thank you so much, Ben. If there's no questions.
And I know I hit you with a lot of stuff, so if you think of anything, feel free to contact me, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben.
All right, well, thank y'all.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Moving to our next topic. So now we have staff liaison report.
So one quick little thing, I do have to kind of let you know, and we will work on this during the bylaws, is the staggering membership terms. City Council has asked that because this board is the first year and it's the initiating year, that you guys take up staggering years. That way you won't have new members coming in all at once. So we'll never again have 15 new members coming in. So the staggering years, and we'll explain it a little bit in terms as far as what it's going to look like in your bylaws. So they're just asking that we add a small amendment into the bylaws. And for you guys would be just a change to what was already applicable in that first, in our last meeting. And we'll have that under the bylaws once we get through that. But we are looking at doing 2-3 years, meaning some members will be members for the first year for 2 years, other members will be for 3 years, and therefore you would still have opportunities to be, again, be re-engaged into another term. So we'll look at that during our bylaws with more specification on what the text will look like.
Any questions, anyone? No, because we'll be discussing it in the bylaws. Okay. Moving on to leadership report. We have one specific thing to note. Myself, Eliasar, and Andrea were invited to sit on a stakeholders board of other members, other chairs for other boards in the city of Raleigh to participate in an event called Raleigh Unity Day. So Raleigh Unity Day tends to happen in February, and it's the spearhead, the Human Relations Commission spearheads most of the time the event. This year, due to COVID, that's not possible. So, it's composed of the Fair Housing Board, Substance Use Commission, Mayor's Board on Disability, and us, the Hispanic Immigrant Affairs Board. They're looking to hold two service events for the Raleigh community. One that may occur on February 20th, which will be a drive-through event to serve about 1,000 community members, and another one that may occur on March 6th. That one of them will be a drop-off, and the other one will be a drive-through. The goal of the events is to provide resources and support to our most vulnerable communities during COVID, and provide food, non-perishables, fire extinguishers, to also create and sustain partnerships and engage the community we serve at large. Another meeting is scheduled for us on January 28th, so we'll provide some feedback and some insight as to what will happen. And Demetrius, I give you the floor if you would like to speak a little bit more on this. But just to let everybody know, as of right now, we didn't have a budget. We're setting the budget now through the work plan. So most boards are collaborating monetarily, but there are some, like Eleazar from El Centro is donating 4,000 masks to the event, to the events. So if you or any of your organization would like to contribute to the event, please let us know and we'll provide more feedback regarding what will follow. Is there anything, Demetrius? No. Okay.
No, that's roughly it. We asked leadership to be a part of it because boards and commission leadership are always asking, how can we work with another board? How can we, talk to this board and what have you? So within the Office of Equity and Inclusion, we oversee 7 different community boards that are appointed by City Council. So instead of us always having to go back and forth between like me, Elke, and Miss Mary. Hey, Miss Mary, she's on the call.
Hey,
Miss Mary is the chair of the Community Relations Commission. So instead of us going back and forth and being the middle person, we're going to start having possibly like a quarterly meeting where we can cross collaborate amongst each other to build some type of common thread amongst the board chairs. And then also, speaking of the event, Raleigh Unity Day, well, it's just a big event. We're looking to provide PPE, food, and additional resources. So it's going to be a big event. We understand you do not have monetary, you don't have a budget right now. It's okay, you're a brand new board, but you do have manpower, and you also have a community of individuals that you can market to as well. So we're still working out the fine-tuned details, but we do have the date, the location, the time. And when the sign-up genie come out, I would ask if you're available, if you feel comfortable to help pack bags and social distancing. So we're working to identify a large enough area so that everyone can feel safe. And we'll do packing in like 2-hour increments so that everyone is feeling safe. So we're going to social distance and pack bags. And also during the day of the event, if you're feeling comfortable to help, please let us know. We also have sign-ups for that will be coming out soon. But primary goal is just to love on one another. All of our boards and commissions are served with providing some type of community engagement component, but due to COVID, they're not able to do it in person. And so boards and commissions came together and said, hey, we want to do some type of giveaway event back to the community that's most greatly impacted. So this community was identified through the governor's report and also through a report that one of the commissioners, Miss Mary's commissioner member, Trey Roberts, he indicated also that 27610 was the hardest hit because of COVID. And also the governor's report said 27610 was the hardest hit. So the location we assembled for the drive-thru is going to be Southeast Raleigh High School. And I don't know if anyone participated in a drive-thru event. Basically just come through, pop the trunk, tell us how many you need, put it in your trunk, keep it going. It sounds simple enough, but it's a whole bunch of things behind the detail. So just give us grace and mercy as we continue to work through the details.
Yes, thank you. I'm a resident of 27610, so I understand. We are now moving to the parameters for the meeting. Sorry, go ahead. Any questions? Sorry.
Yes. My question is, I sound like what you're hearing you say is that you need volunteers. If you wouldn't mind just sending that out as an email, because I don't have the date and details, and I think we've got some great people around here that I think would be willing to volunteer, but I don't have the details. So if you'd send that out, I'd appreciate it.
Perfect. We will do that.
We just need to do that.
Yeah, we'll do it with everyone. Sounds good. Any other questions? Okay. Just like last time, we're now moving to the parameters for the meeting. Just like the last meeting, we will address by the bylaws suggestions that are highlighted in red and do a final vote at the end to pass the bylaws. If we can upload the bylaws.
Yes, I will upload those immediately.
Thank you.
All right, please confirm if you can see it.
Yes.
You can see the document. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Can you zoom in a little bit more?
Let's
Okay,
see, will that work?
Yes. Okay, so as we go back, we're gonna have to go back and amend some of the wording, as Araceli mentioned, regarding the terms for each one of the for all the members. Go ahead.
Yeah, so under Article 3, just to let you know, and we put in some text already, the text will give you a little bit more clarity as far as the request of council. Kind of glad that it's now, and now we don't have to come back to the bylaws again, and that, we still haven't fully voted. So under Article 3, Section 1, Section 8, we just added under the member section the word terms, and then just put an appointed member may serve on the board for no more than 3 two-year terms in succession. For the initial board, 8 members of the board shall serve a term not to exceed 2 years, of which 4 should be professional members and 4 community members. Thinking that you guys are a little bit different as far as membership goes, you have those 2 criteria. 7 members shall serve a term not to exceed 3 years, of which 4 should be professional and 3 should be community members. After which each member shall serve 2-year terms in the possibility of reappointment. So if you choose for reappointment or you are reappointed, then from there forth, it would be a 2-year term. So it would only be for this first term that we're working on right now. So this is the proposal set forth, and it's just to be added under this section.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
So do we need to vote on that specifically, or we'll vote on the whole
We'll
section?
vote on the whole.
Okay.
Right, we'll
Well,
vote on
we'll
the
do-
whole.
we'll-
I know that Elke will just do the regular, if everybody's in agreement, we'll just have everybody kind of raise their hand. We don't need an official vote, but just have everybody say it's good to go.
Is everyone in agreement with the text defining the new stipulations?
Okay, moving forward, the only other thing we look through everything that was approved, it's not an amendment, it's a suggestion. Let me see if we can find it. Under Community Engagement and Celebration Committee, I know that we had placed in here or edited and just shortened down in an effort to promote and celebrate all of Raleigh. The board and its members will actively participate and host local cultural events. And there was nothing, no sentence set for community engagement. So you guys can leave it this way, or if you choose to maybe add a sentence where you will address community engagement, just as a suggestion, we wanted to toss it out there for you guys.
I'm going to make a suggestion, and those that were in the committee for community engagement celebration, if you could share the wording as the purpose for that wording to be incorporated.
Yeah, I was looking over the notes. I think we said establishing relationships with as many organizations, associations, and cultural groups, both formal and informal, be in communication and establish ways to effectively communicate needs. I can send you that text, Ida, if that's helpful.
Do you want to put it in, we can put it in the chat, and then we can just kind of pull it from there. And I think that might be the best way so that everybody can look at it. And yeah, email it to me if you can, because sometimes we can't pull from the chat.
Right.
And then I'll put it in here and we'll see. We'll move forward from here. I think that way everybody can see it and you don't have to go through the chat.
Okay, I just sent it in the chat.
Chat. Okay, let me see if I can pull it from there.
That's what we talked about in the committee. I don't know if everybody's in agreement with that, or if they want to change, play with the wording.
I can't see it in the chat. Demetrius, do you
went
see it?
away. Mhm.
Oh, I think I found it.
I make a motion to add the information Michelle Bermeo sent for the Community Engagement and Celebration Committee. And I know we're voting in the end, but are you gonna add it?
I'm trying to, but it won't let me copy. Let's look at
I'll
it.
work on it
Everybody
for
can
you.
see the chat.
Keep going. I'll work on it for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Worst case scenario, I can just email it to you.
Okay, and we can add it in there. I just want to make sure everybody has clarity. Establish relationships with as many organizations, associations, and cultural groups, both formal and informal, to be in communications and establish ways to effectively communicate needs. Any questions, thoughts, ideas?
I would add as many organizations, as many residents. Like I would add residents, organizations, associations, cultural groups. I would add residents as well.
Mhm.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, it's coming. I think it's gonna let me. Oh, nope. It did not. Can you email it to me, Michelle, please? If you email it to me, it's gonna be faster. Well, let's move forward. If you want, Elke, that way we're not stopped. So you can continue where we left off. I'll copy this and we'll come back to it quickly and just look over it. And I'll add what you mentioned. So if you want to just move forward, then we are at the
governance.
Governance and Leadership Committee. That's where we're at right now.
Okay. So here's where we left off from the last meeting. There were some points that were addressed in the specific meeting. No, sorry, committee. I know one was, and Araceli can speak to this, was that we can't have outside members in the committee, but also the conversation was that the committee was to be, the policy committee was supposed to be an ad hoc committee, which relates to the governance and leadership committee. So right now the wording is, and I think this is, because it's in blue and it should be in red. The governance and leadership committee shall be a standing committee that recommends to the board amendments and revisions to the HIB bylaws. To approve bylaws, all board members must review all changes made and vote to establish changes in the following upcoming meetings. The governance and leadership committee shall be a standing committee of the board and shall consist of not less than 3, no more than 5 individuals. So the information that was taken out.
So this was a suggestion from the office.
Okay.
I believe, yes, this is well, I guess this one is not a suggestion. It's the fact is that we cannot have, because this says the board may appoint a non-board member by majority vote to serve on the committee. That is not correct. We cannot have someone join from the outside to be part of the committee, because the committee is set just for board members.
Right, and the other part was the term of office shall be 1 year. No, not that, sorry. The governance and leadership committee, and that this is something that I noted, shall select, orient, access the officers and members of the board. I believe the council is the only one that gets to select who the new board members are. So I was thinking that would need to be taken out as well. Moving forward, as part of its duties, the governance committee and leadership committee shall establish and perform ongoing assessment of the board. Someone suggested to take this out.
Yeah, the office suggested removing its individual members, just because, you know, you can make assessments for the board process and improvements and whatnot, but not an individual person. So we don't want you, evaluating the work each individual person is doing.
And boards improve. Okay. And board processes to improve the ability of the boards to develop, sustain, and improve the delivery of its mission through the efforts by the board and its members. Araceli, can you move the document a little bit to the right to see some of the notes? Sorry, no, that's the other. Okay. Okay, never mind. Go back. So the Governance and Leadership Committee may also be called upon by the co-chairs or the board to make nominations for awards and special recognition when such opportunities are presented by the organization. This committee would be evaluated upon early change of co-chairs. Two things. It is some of our beliefs that the committee with the bylaws was supposed to be an ad hoc committee. Based on some of the information noted, and the suggestions, and the fact that we did the work plan, and this was not incorporated, I would move to eliminate this committee and just utilize it as an ad hoc committee. But those are the suggestions that were made.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. If it wasn't included in the work plan, does it make sense to have it at all? Yeah. Other than as an ad hoc.
I mean, we would vote at the end.
May I speak to that? Okay.
Absolutely. I was waiting.
Yeah. What normally happens on boards is they create the bylaws, they stick them on the shelf, and it collects dust and nobody looks at it. Okay. The good thing about the governance committee is they will look at the bylaws and look at the mission of the board and look at what they're doing on a pretty regular basis. There's no mechanism here for somebody to, keep kind of looking at our mission and our bylaws and so forth. I mean, most bylaws, I'll have to admit to you, go a lot of mold once they're passed. So that's kind of one good thing about having this kind of committee, and just kind of overseeing, are we going where we want to go? Are we doing what we want to do? Do we need to create any more committees? Just that kind of discussion, just making sure it happens. So that's why most boards have one of these. I mean, all the boards I've ever worked with do. The difference here, and I will admit I'm ready if you want to take the whole thing out, is this board is much, much, much smaller than any board I've ever worked with. So I'm okay with the idea of taking it out and just basically saying we're counting on our co-chairs and secretary to do that function, to from time to time pull the bylaws off the shelf, blow off the dust and look at it and kind of do a self-analysis. Are we doing what we want to do? Which is the kind of thing we can certainly do in retreats. So I'm the one who put it in there. I'm comfortable with taking it out.
Okay. Thank you, Anne, for that insight. Yeah, I would suggest taking it out. And we will be sure to follow through with our mission and vision, for the board. It actually kind of relates to the next part as well. Is the task
for this piece, just for clarity, any additional questions, concerns?
No.
Do you, okay, so let's just, I think the easiest thing would be just to take raise of hands if you would like to just remove it completely from there, acknowledging that the leadership team will be, handling, bringing an ALCOG, which was what you guys did the first time, is just creating a team to take at hand this task when needed. We can have a show of hands if that's okay. Okay, so we'll move forward with that, and I will remove this from here. That way we can keep records of that. And I know Andrea's taking notes as well. Okay.
The next part is task force. The suggestion from the city, and Araceli, you can speak to this, is there's no need to create a task force as long as you have committees.
So anything that comes to your plate, you can send it off to any of your committees. And so there is no need for task force in that case, because that would be like special projects, but you already have your teams working on that.
Yeah, good point.
Okay. By show of hands, can we all agree to take the task force off the bylaws?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you. Now we're moving to policies and procedures. Standing committees. There's no task force may adopt policies and procedures to facilitate their duties and shall be submitted for review, coordination of effort, and approval by the board. Reports and recommendations to the board shall be in writing and issued sufficiently in advance of board meetings and or action to allow for a meaningful review by the board. The city of Raleigh shall be responsible to provide such administrative support and assistance as may be required. Terms of office and review. The term of office for each standing committee, and we're eliminating task force member, shall begin at the expiration of an annual meeting at which they are elected by the board or when appointed, and shall expire at the conclusion of the succeeding annual meeting, which would be annual retreat, correct? That needs to be changed. The meeting to retreat, or upon completion of the work required by a task force matter. That would have to
You can take that out too.
take that out as well.
Okay,
Sure.
we'll fix this.
Okay. Whichever occurs first, committees shall be reviewed annually or as needed by the co-chair, co-chairs and secretary, and as appropriate, renewed by a vote of the board in its annual retreat. The
So you need to
board,
take out the governance and leadership committee. That's still
right,
in there.
right,
Erase
we
that.
do. And the meeting retreat.
And you need to make co-chairs plural. As needed by the co-chairs plural.
Co-chairs and secretary,
Okay.
and yeah, retreat. Perfect. So co-chairs and the secretary.
Okay.
The board may create other committees or task force as needed. Committees as needed. The board shall prescribe the duties and duration of such committees. Take out task force in writing and at the time of their formation and their charter entered in the board's policy manual. I need to make a motion to extend the meeting by 10 minutes. How far down do we have? How much?
I think we're halfway there. So if you want, once we get to 2 o'clock, we'll figure out how much to extend.
Okay. So regular and special meetings. So Article 4 meetings of the board, regular and special meetings. Regular meetings shall be held not less than quarterly and at a time and place to be determined by the board. Special meetings may be called by the co-chair, be called for by the co-chairs or three or more members of the board at any times. Not really sure why, but I mean it's fine. Of the board at any time. Special meetings shall be held at a date and time as indicated in the notice of the meeting, and shall be held at the site of regular meetings, or at this point in time, I would say not at the site, but through well, the site or medium. Or arranged medium. So I would add at the site or through an arranged medium.
Is everyone in agreement with that? Or see a need for that?
Can we get a show of hands if everyone agrees to add? Because through the pandemic, we're using Zoom, so. Okay. An executive session may be held at each regular and special board meeting, during which only board members shall be permitted to attend and participate, or others whom the board may invite to attend. I don't understand that actual sentence, the wording of that. Anne, could you speak on this?
Sometimes there are things that are sensitive. I hope it never comes up here, but say if one of our board members was one of the people on January 6th and posted pictures of themselves. And several people here said, hey, that we have a problem with this, but it's sensitive and it's private. You know, we may want to have an executive session to discuss that, but not have it be a public meeting. Or if one of the board members has a really bad criminal charge, you know, sexual abuse of a minor or something. So there's certain things that come up that from time to time, I hope this board never has it, but then you might want to be able to go into executive session.
And this is for everyone or just Shaw?
The executive session can be called.
Okay,
by the
I
board.
gotcha. Sounds good.
So sometimes there are things that are very confidential and touchy, and you don't want it to be recorded and published.
Gotcha. All right. Is everyone okay with the text? So we can move on. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Section 2, electronic meetings, regular or special meetings may be held via electronic communications medium, which enables all board members to participate simultaneously in the discussion, considerations, and voting at the meeting. Section 3, does anyone have any question about that? No? No. Okay. Section 3, annual retreat is deemed a regular board meeting and shall be held prior to the commencement of the fiscal year. At the retreat, the board shall elect board co-chairs, secretary, and new board members, establish committee and task force membership, set the forthcoming annual calendar of meetings, make available an annual annual report of accomplishments and activities of the board, such entities and persons as the board shall deem appropriate. I don't know what that says. Repent?
Report.
Report. Okay.
Report, I guess.
Report the annual attendance of each board member. Receive board members' conflict of interest disclosure statements, and transact such as other business as deemed necessary and appropriate. Does anyone have questions about this specific?
No.
Okay, so I do have a question for Aracelis. Does that mean that when we do this again in June, a new board will be coming on in June?
No, not necessarily. Not in this case, because this is your first year. You guys, right now, you just did a short retreat for your 6 months.
Okay. Section 4, notice of, anyone have questions? No? Okay, you said no. Section 4, notice of meetings in addition to notice of regular meetings during the annual retreat. The co-chairs shall give public notice stating the time and place of regular or special meeting as required by the North Carolina opening meetings law. Any questions? Section 5, conduct meetings. All meetings shall be open to the public. Any questions concerning parliamentary procedure at meeting shall be determined by reference to most recent edition of Robert's Rule of Order, except where such rules conflict with the laws of the state of North Carolina, ordinances of the city of Raleigh, or those bylaws. Robert's Rule of Order may be suspended by a 2/3 vote of the board members present at the meeting, except as otherwise provided in the bylaws. The act of a majority of the members present at a meeting at which quorum is present shall be the act of the board. Any questions? No. Section 6.
So
Questions?
we are at 2. Let me just kind of show where we're at. That way we can figure out if we need to get a little extra time. So 7, 8, 9, and 10. And I think we're done. So we have 4 more pages to go. No changes unless anybody has, questions or concerns. So
There's no more changes? Go down?
no, I mean, as for there are, no, I mean, no specific changes noted in here. Changes as far as you guys coming up with, that would be, but it should flow quickly. So you have 4 pages to go, plus the vote, and then if there's any public comment, I think that's all you have. So just to figure out how much time you want to ask the board for extra time to finish the bylaws and vote on them.
There's not a lot, so let's go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
May I make a suggestion? Okay, I think it's wonderful you're reading this entire thing out loud. People are going to go to sleep while you're reading conflict of interest. So the next sections are legalese, conflict of interest and that kind of thing. And I don't think there were any proposed changes. So if you read the entire 4 pages after this out loud, it's going to take forever. Can we suggest that people read it on the screen instead of asking poor Elke to have to read this whole thing out loud?
I think it's important to read through it, just so we can go over it. But I mean, we could take a vote on that. Would everyone rather read it on your own screen, or would you rather have me read it and go in space by space?
I'm suggesting start at a conflict of interest going down.
Do we have to vote on this today?
We have to
Yes.
finish today. It has to be presented by February 16th. So the bylaws have to be voted on today.
Well, I want to make a motion first to add 10 minutes onto the meeting, if that's okay. If we're going to further discuss this, because we're already at 2:01.
I second.
Would
the
anybody
motion.
second that?
I second it.
Do we need to vote?
Yes.
Okay, can we go ahead and vote to extend the meeting by 10 minutes? Can I get a show of hands? Perfect. Great. Thank you for that. If you can go back up, Aracelis.
We're out of 5, conduct.
We're at section 6.
Yeah, we're in section 6, the quorum. A majority of the board members shall constitute a quorum for the transaction of business of any meeting or board. Any questions? No. Section 7, voting. Each member shall be entitled to 1 vote on each matter submitted to a vote at a meeting of the board. Voting on all matters shall be by voice vote, by show of hands, or by ballot. Silence or failure to vote by a member shall be counted as an affirmative on the matter before the board. The secretary shall record the votes on all matters in the meetings. Article 5. Conflict of interest.
I move that the Article 5 and whatever's following after that, that we review this by reading it instead of having Elke read it out loud.
Can we have anyone accessing the meeting by language line, though? That may be an issue. That's the only question I have before voting on
Yeah,
that.
good question.
Constantita Nieves is on. So
There's a motion on the floor. I don't know if I've got a second or not.
no, you haven't gotten a second. Motion.
I second that.
Pepe has second.
Yes.
Can I see by? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
we will vote to have this section be read by each other, not by me,
By screen.
by screen. Can I see a show of hands? Who agrees? Okay. So let's go down and read to each other. Not read to each other, but any questions so far? Moving further down. I'm not sure what, yeah, I'm gonna ask a question about annual disclosure statement to enable the board's ability to monitor and enforce the policy each affected person annually shall.
This is something that's supposed to be done at the annual meeting. You just sign a statement saying, I don't have a conflict of interest. That's it.
Okay. Any questions?
No.
No. Let's move forward. Oh, okay. Not that far. Not that far forward. I mean, if everyone has had the opportunity to look at the bylaws, are there any other suggestions?
No.
No.
Okay, I suggest we move forward. Okay. Any questions on 1, 2, or 3?
No.
Okay. Moving forward. Vote on conflicted transaction. Any vote or transaction in which an affected person has to. I'm sorry, I'm reading out loud. Okay, so this
There are no
part.
independent directors.
Okay.
Check that out. Yeah.
So in the beginning part of the bylaws, it was noted that the council would have to be the ones to decide in good faith, or I can't remember exactly where it was, but that they would be the ones to decide ultimately. Like, we can make the suggestion, that that's a conflict of interest, therefore they shouldn't, but that they would be ultimately the ones to decide. So I would take out, but no less than 2.
So I want to ask Araceli, so if one of the board members, has a conflict of interest, but the rest of the board thinks it's in the interest of the board to allow that to happen, does the council have to approve it? If there actually is a conflict of interest, but we think, but yeah, it's a good idea.
Everything still goes to council for approval regardless of it. So I don't know if Demetrius has anything else to add in there. But when we reviewed it, Dr. Caesar reviewed this piece. I think she said it was fine.
Okay.
As was.
So who are independent directors?
So that piece, and you're saying to remove that piece?
Take that out.
Right.
Yeah.
By a show of hands, is everyone okay with that change of removal? Okay.
So are we going to incorporate the conversation about, like, if we move up regarding the council? Because it goes hand in hand to that.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Step away for a second. What was the question?
So in the beginning part of the bylaws, okay, we're going to need to extend. In the beginning part of the bylaws, I think is section 3. There's a comment that anyone that's removed, whether it's for conflict or interest or anything, that there's no verbiage on conflict of interest. There's verbiage regarding the removal of individuals, and it's noted that it needs to be approved by the council. So my question is, this does not state that, and it should state that because it's already something we've already voted on, and it's already part of the bylaws.
Okay, well, I think I understand what you're saying. So whatever you do, like work plan, even though you vote on it, council still has to look at it and vote on it still. Like whatever you do, just like checks and balance. So even though you approved it as a board, it goes before council and they just sign off on it. I haven't seen anything where council has kicked it back out or anything like that, but council still wants to look at everything because this is a brand new board. So for the older boards that's been around for a while, if they make any type of amendments, they can vote on it, but it still goes before council and they say, okay, you can keep it going. But it's never been a situation anything's been kicked out before.
Okay. Is everyone in agreement to keeping this specific part by show of hands? Or
Shall we move down?
Yeah. And indirect interest of the transaction, even though. What does that? I don't know what that means. Less than quorum. All meetings, any voting that happens has to be with quorum. That's what the expectation is. And
Well, I'm used to working with boards that have like 20 members and stuff like that. And so the conflict of interest means that person can't vote. But let's say, Pepe has the best translation organization in the triangle. And we decide we want to use Pepe's organization to do some of the interpreting for us. He couldn't vote, but the rest of us could. So sometimes they're worried that might mess up quorum. I agree with you. I think it definitely still should be involved with quorum. So Elke, yes, it should be quorum.
okay. We need to move to extend the meeting 10 more minutes. Can I get a motion to move? I motion to move the meeting 10 more minutes.
I second.
Okay, the motion passes. We are
Can we
extending.
get a
the meeting.
vote on that?
I'm sorry. Can we get a vote for by show of hands to extend it by 10 minutes? We're almost there. Did we get
Okay, so you want
everyone?
me then to remove then through quorum and move less than from here?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, move even though less than a quorum. Just move that whole section.
Completely?
Yeah,
Okay.
that whole thing. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
All right. Is everyone okay with this by show of hands?
Yeah, I don't know what director means, but I guess that would
Okay.
be Andrea.
That's just that's a charge of the authorized group by a single member.
Okay.
Should be member, sorry.
Okay. We're almost there.
All right, let's go down. I think we're in the last page.
Yes.
Awesome.
Can I move to have us read Article 6 instead of having Elke read it out loud? I move that.
Yeah, I think we're there already. You go ahead and read it.
We're already-
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
We need to add the.
Yeah, I want to make sure Jordan's suggestion is in there
Oh, yeah,
on
I
section
agree.
2. So you can see, I think it's gender identity or expression.
So we'll need to add that. Can you go down a little bit?
So we are going to add the gender identity and expression piece, correct?
Yes.
I have no further comments.
Is everyone okay with that change? Have questions, concerns? All right.
No.
There's
Okay.
nothing else? Okay, great.
No, the only thing that we have to go back is add that last piece that I got from Michelle. Give me 1 second. Let me do that. And I think we should be golden here.
And Ada, I think Pepe wanted to make sure that we included.
Yes, that one word, I think, right? Give me a second here.
At the end, we can add to effectively engage the community.
¿Dónde? Oh, yeah. To the,
Let's see. Establish needs to effectively engage the community.
And it says effectively before communicate, so we can.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, yes, you already have it there. Okay.
okay. So
Good.
So with those changes, we're going to move on to do a final vote to approve the agenda, but we also will be doing approving the work plan along with the changes that were made today and the changes that were shared for the terms from Aracelis. I make a motion to,
Well, you can entertain. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say I make a motion to approve the bylaws.
Let's.
Who was that?
Michelle.
Okay, great.
Okay. So it's been set, motion and second. Okay. So because these are the bylaws, we are going to have to go through roll call and make sure that everybody is voting on this. So Elke, if you want to pull the roll call and just ask via screen, because I think I took the shared screen and then you can get a vote on everyone.
Pepe Caudillo.
Yes.
Do you approve?
Do you approve, yay or nay? Approve. Ann Kyoko.
I approve.
Okay. Andrea Martinez.
I say yay, yeah.
Fevin Smith.
Yay.
Ann Robertson.
I approve.
Rasha Mohammed.
I approve.
Michelle Bermeo.
I approve.
Betancourt, sorry. Jordan Crumroy.
I approve.
Abdiel Martinez.
I approve.
And I also approve. Elke Weil. The bylaws are adapted. Yay.
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 Celebration time.
We also have to vote for the work plan to be adopted.
Promotion.
I move that the work plan be adopted.
I get a second?
I second.
Okay. The motion has passed for the work plan to be adopted for today.
You need to
You
vote.
can do a vote by raise of hands.
Can we get a raise of hands? I'm sorry, y'all. By raise of hands, can we go ahead and vote to adopt the work plan? Okay. If the
Passes.
motion passes, the work plan has been adopted. And now I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Actually, your agenda says voting on staggering membership terms.
Well, yeah, that piece, because it's just added into the bylaws, so we didn't
Good.
have to do that
It's
piece.
done.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
that's
done.
good.
Yeah, quickly before that, Demetrius, any public comments or anything like that?
Public
that-
comments, yeah.
No, we'll
I
double
didn't see
check.
anything either.
No, I
Okay.
don't see anything.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, great.
I second.
Okay, I move to adjourn the meeting. And you second, Rasha?
I second it.
Okay, by show of hands. We move to adjourn the meeting.
All right, guys.
Meeting adjourned.
All
Thank you
right.
so much,
Adjourned.
everyone.
Thank you,
Yay.
everybody. Good job.
Good
Thank you,
retreat.
everyone.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Thanks,
weekend.
everyone.